Live. It's been a while since we've actually done this. I'm going to reset it now. Ethan Skolnick here on 305 Live. It's been a while since we've actually done this. No Heat tonight. The Heat are off until Wednesday. Lost weekend in New York, so they left me in New York. So we decided to do a little bit of football tonight before the national championship game. I want to introduce you to a couple of our newer contributors. Before we do, though, I want to tell you about ECPA. That's East Coast Public Adjusters. You can find them at ecpaclaims.com. You've got 9 months left to file your IRMA claim, so make sure you reach out to 855-GET-ECPA or go to ecpaclaims.com. All right, we've got two people with me today. We've got two different perspectives. We're going to talk a little Dolphins today, although going to get into it kind of in a backwards sort of way. We've got on my, I guess it would be on my right, but on my left is your face. We've got Jakari Givens. He's been on here with us on 305 Live before. Jakari, where do they find you?
King Jock 24 on Twitter, Instagram. That's on all my social medias.
All right, and Jakari played football in college, so he's got a perspective on this. It's a little bit different than mine because clearly I did not. Also, we've got Kathleen Noah. She does our Cats Corner on YouTube and on some of our other outlets. Very popular on Twitter and other places because she is like the ultra Miami Dolphins fan. She is the voice of reason some of the times, and sometimes the voice of passion. We'll get a little bit of both today, but we're going to start with the big topic because actually I noticed some of Jakari's comments sort of internally here on our strings, but also Kathleen's comments on Twitter caught my attention. Everybody's talking about Ryan Tannehill, and there's this great debate right now that he's one game away from the Super Bowl, which, by the way, 5 Reasons Sports will be covering. We've got 3 credentials to the game in the week. But the Super Bowl in Miami coming up here in Super Bowl Live. And Ryan Tannehill is one game away. The Titans season turned around when he replaced Marcus Mariota, but he's thrown for about 170 yards over the past 2 weeks. And yet they've made the AFC Championship game. As somebody said today, he's basically dilfering his way to the Super Bowl. But I want to start with you, Kathleen, because you had some commentary on this Twitter. How should we feel about Ryan Tannehill right now, as if we are Dolphin fans?
Okay, so, I mean, I know my opinion and others who have expressed it. Honestly, I think every Dolphin fan should feel, like, excited for him. And, yeah, basically excited. And don't confuse that with saying I'm excited and following him versus I miss him and wish we still had him. Mm-hmm. We don't need him anymore. I wish him the best, but we should be excited because he worked really hard for us for the 7 years we had him. Like, he put everything he could into to our team. I mean, think about it. We had 3 different coaches, 5 different offensive coordinators while we had him, and he got injured. He still tried really hard up until the end. So we should be excited that he's doing so great he beat out Mariota. He had, less than 200 yards the past 2 games, but he also had several games with almost 300 yards. So we can't take out those games. We can't be like, oh, well, he looked, a few people on Twitter said that this last game he had 80 yards, but they're refusing to look at the other games that he won and beat out to get him to these playoffs. So when it comes down to it, 200 yards, who cares? He's winning games. No one would say this about the Patriots. He's winning games. He's balling. So we should be happy for him, I think.
Before I go to Jakari on this, Kathleen, what were your feelings at the end? Because like you said, I think a lot of people have that idea that they're happy for him now, but it was kind of enough. Like, it was a relationship that had gone far enough at that point. How did you feel at the end of last season? He missed most of last season because of the shoulder injury after missing because of the knee injury. What were your feelings at the time?
I've been a big Ryan Tannehill supporter, but at the end of the season, I think his time was up with us. I think we're starting a new coach. I think there was just some bitterness between other players, just how our former coach, Adam Gase, treated him. I think it was time for him to have a fresh start, be with a new coach, be with a new team completely. And I think we as a fan base needed a fresh start, and our whole organization just kind of needed a whole fresh start. So it was sad to lose him, but I also realized it was time to say goodbye because we kind of just really, if we were going to rebuild this team, we needed to completely rebuild this team and start over. Yeah, so those are my,
That makes sense.
It's the same.
Well, Jakari, let's look at it now to Kathleen's answer before about the way that he's played, because there's a lot of focus on the last 2 games. I mean, he beat Brady, arguably the greatest quarterback of this era, and then he beat the guy who's going to be the MVP this year. But he also did it without throwing a ton of passes, and with Derrick Henry rushing for more yards after contact that Tannehill had total yards as a passer. How do we evaluate how Ryan Tannehill has played?
So I want to just reference my point. Ryan Tannehill is a better version of Alex Smith. That's all he is. He's a great game manager. Even in Miami, when we took the same approach that the Titans are using, where we running the football, play action passes, just asking him to complete passes. He had his best season record-wise before he tore his ACL in 2016 when we had Ajayi who rushed for like over 1,200 yards that season. And then was play action and over the top, hitting the receivers out top. So I'm really not surprised at the formula working for him. But just sometimes you need a new start in a new system. The system that he has right now is not asking him to be a quarterback that throws for 5,000 yards. It's asking him to manage the game, make a completion here and there. But he's good enough to make those passes, so he's going to win games with that perspective. But do I expect them to beat Kansas City this upcoming weekend? No. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer than what people think, because their formula, how they formulate great defense, asking him to complete a pass here and there, it works for him. So I really think in my heart, the year that he tore his ACL in 2016, we would have made the same kind of push in the playoffs with the Dolphins because we would have been healthy. Because we had a lot of favorable matchups.
No, they did, and he was playing well. I mean, people forget it. I mean, they were 8-5 at the time, but he was playing well. He was putting up his best numbers, and then obviously had the injury. And the one argument for Ryan Tannehill was always durability, and then the durability went with the knee and with the shoulder. So let's transition a little bit here. Go ahead.
And also, you have to account that the Titans' O-line is the best, like one of the top 3 O-lines in football. So he's playing behind his best O-line he ever had.
Well, so let me go to you first on this, Jakari. So what can the Dolphins learn from what the Titans have done here? Because it seems like they have to totally rebuild the 2 lines, right? Like, I mean, that's the 2 biggest issues with the Dolphins on their offensive line and with and particularly their ends defensively. I mean, the tackles, they've got a pretty good group of tackles there, particularly with Wilkins and Godchow, et cetera. But what can they learn from what the Titans have done to get to this point? And for that matter, what some of the other teams that are left have done?
So, number one, the Dolphins need to, this upcoming draft, identify who your franchise quarterback is going to be. We love Tua. We giraffe Tua, and you build around him. But this offseason, when it comes to the spending and free agency, their reference should be Brandon Sheriff should be a target. Eric Flowers should be a target. Joe Thana from the Patriots, their guards should be a target. So they should be trying to build an offensive line up and go from there. Because the Titans are being successful because they're going against the grain of the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. They're running the football while everybody else is pass happy. And you can. It's sort of like the NBA. Our Steph Curry was going 3 crazy, and then when LeBron them beat them, they just slowed the game down and was just taking what was given to them.
Mm-hmm. Grinding down the clock. LeBron used to talk about it. It was that run as much of the clock as you possibly can. But Kathleen, the thing about this though is that we talk about the Titans formula. But if they get down 14-0 at Kansas City, they got no way. They got no way to catch up. And we've seen that if Mahomes is down 31-0, it doesn't matter. So is that the formula the Dolphins should follow, or should they be looking to open things up a little bit more and build a team for that?
I mean, I think what we learned. I mean, I don't know. I think what he said we learned. We need to figure out who our quarterback is and actually build to his strengths. I mean, the strength that Ryan Tannehill has is he can throw that accurate deep ball passing. So in certain games when it was a clutch, he needed they had a few minutes and he had to get this 3rd down. Ryan Tannehill's been making 3rd down passes to get the 1st down in all these games. He's been throwing that pass when he needs it, like 40 yards, something. In the game, it was 45-yard touchdown. I mean, I don't know. I think we need watching Tannehill. I just think the coaching and stuff, I think we just failed on that. And I think it really came down to we didn't build up around him. We didn't look and see, okay, this is Ryan Tannehill. This is how he plays. This is how he can excel. And I think some people are taking it wrong when I mentioned Ryan Tannehill, that I think he's this elite quarterback. I never thought he was top 12, top 15. Yes, but coaches you can have an average quarterback, but if you build around him and know what his strengths are, you can have a winning team. But if you just expect to we have this quarter, like the team, our fans expected Tannehill to just come out and just perform and just win games for everyone, when it's not how it works. I think Jeff Darlington tweeted out saying, like, from now on, you can't really say a player sucks. You can't say they're bad. You need to actually look, and it's a team sport. It's the player. It's the players around him. Everyone together as a team needs to work. And I don't think our organization has, at least with Gase, worked together as a team. We had a lot of argument between players. And I think it came down to the right coach to guide those players, trust in him, build a team. That's just my experience. I mean, that's what I took from everything.
All right, go ahead, Jakari.
You can see Adam Gase is just not a good NFL coach, because he has he has great talent in New York, and he's making them feel like you're looking at Sam Darnold, who's a good quarterback, Le'Veon Bell, who's a good running back, and you like, okay, I'm not accustomed to these players playing this way. So Adam Gase is an issue. So we can't.
And Joe Philbin was probably an issue before him. I mean, it's not like they've had the strongest coaching staffs. You know, look, and Kathleen mentioned how many offensive coordinators he's gone through. Kathleen, you mentioned it, so I'll go to you first on this, and then I want to get to the national championship game. Tua is the topic, right? And maybe I don't know if it's affected by what happens tonight, because maybe Lawrence is somebody you clearly want to wait for, or maybe Burrow shows, I don't think this is going to happen, but shows he shouldn't be the number 1 overall pick, and Cincinnati reconsiders. I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway,
yeah, me either.
If you look at Tua right now, the Dolphins are at number 5. You've got Chase Young there at the top of the draft. You've got a couple of linemen there at the top of the draft. You go ahead. If Tua is at 5, do you take him? Or if he's at 3 or 4, are you willing to give up a couple of high picks to go up and get him?
Oh, I absolutely would take Tua at 5. He's not worth risking. I see it as, I mean, we have players in the next draft, and who was it? Jason Taylor. Someone said before, every year you draft a quarterback if you don't have your quarterback. So we take Tua, and fans say he might not be worth it, or he might get injured. Well, no one knows. You don't know. Joe Burrow might end up getting hurt his first game. He might not be a great NFL quarterback. No one has any idea. But we know when Tua is healthy, he's fantastic. So I think we take him. And then, I mean, draft a couple other guys. I haven't looked much lately, but draft or either trade back or draft other guys to build around him, offensive line for sure. And if he's not good, I mean, we try again next year. Then we get another quarterback next year and try again. There's going to be tons next draft. So I absolutely am hands down taking Tua, especially if Joe Burrow is already gone. I think we need to even move up if we think that he's going to be gone and take Tua, personally.
Jakari?
So everybody knows how I feel about Tua. It's all in for me for him. I think he's the best quarterback prospect in the last 5 or 6 years. I think he's better than Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, because Tua can do everything. He has the deep ball. He can make all the throws. He has the intangibles. He has championship DNA. The durability is a problem, but hey, sometimes players get hurt. Look at DK Metcalf this past season. He had the neck injury, but he played a full 16-game season. So players change as they come to the league. Some people take care of their bodies better. It's better in the NFL because you have the money and the necessities around you to build better durability. But for me, it's Tua or nothing. I wouldn't. If he's not there at 5, I trade back and get other pieces around him. But it's Tua or nothing for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, the way I look at this, Kathleen mentioned it. You take a quarterback every year. You don't do what the Dolphins did and not take one for 20 years. You have to keep taking them over and over and over. I thought the most disingenuous thing that's been said in the past few months by any former executive was Mike Tannenbaum saying you have to take a quarterback every year. And I'm like, did you forget you're Mike Tannenbaum?
Yeah.
That when you were with the organization. And look, this is not a new theory. I, as an observer and a reporter, I've been saying it for years. It's what Green Bay did for years and years when they already had Favre and they landed Rodgers. It's what the Patriots have done. Sometimes you hit like Garoppolo. Sometimes you don't like Ryan Mallett, but you keep, you sort of hit like Brissett. But you keep taking quarterbacks.
I'm gonna be honest with you though. Tua has his ceiling is Super Bowl winning. And his lowest ceiling, if you take him in 20 years, is a guy that takes you to the playoffs every year. Because look, on one leg, he was better than Joe Burrow in that game. They played Alabama LSU. He was better. I just think their defense is still getting no stops, so it kind of took them out the game. But on one leg, he took over 500 yards and he shredded them.
I mean, to me, guys, he's Russell Wilson. I think in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
he's the left-handed Russell Wilson, and if he's the left-handed Russell Wilson, you take that guy. Final thing, and I know we got to go. Kathleen's done a good job, kind of moving around there a little bit. Let's just get a quick prediction for tonight. Clemson, LSU. Clemson's 4.5-point dog tonight. Kathleen?
Point-wise, LSU is winning it. Geez, I would say it's in the 30s. Well, I don't know. It might be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a 40-something, 45 to 30-something game. But I think it's going to be high-scoring. I think it's going to be close, back and forth. You think it's going to be higher? My buddy's like, it's going to be like 50-something. It could be. I really think they might go back and forth and score. Then it might come down to a field goal or it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how Twitter explodes based on who wins and prospect NFL-wise. So, but I take LSU.
Jakari?
So, I'm torn, but I'm going to take Clemson tonight for two reasons. LSU has played well all season, so they're due for one bad game. They're due for one bad game, and it could be tonight. But I like Trevor Lawrence to just make a few more plays than Joe Burrow, and they actually come out with a win. The key to tonight's game, in my opinion, though, is who coaches the best. It doesn't have nothing to do with the players. Who calls the best game offensively and defensively.
I like Clemson tonight. To pull the
Interesting.
I as good as Burrow's been the whole season, as good as Brady's been, putting that thing together for him. I think that Clemson, it feels like they've been under the radar all year. They had one close game early in the season, and they kind of got pushed back. And I agree with Jakari. I think we've seen the best of LSU to this point, but you look at personnel, I think Clemson matches up in some places pretty well with them. Going to be a tight game, but I think they win. Kathleen, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Again, you follow her at, give me the Twitter account again. It's Kathleen_Noah, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
And again, Jakari, yours?
King Jock 24.
All right, you'll be seeing more of both of them going forward. Check out 5reasonsports.com. That's spelled out 5reasonsports.com. New episode of 5 on the Floor tonight. We're going to evaluate Bam Adebayo's case for the All-Star game. That'll be on tonight. And we're crossing the 1 million download mark tonight on the 5 Reasons podcast, on the main 5 Reasons podcast. So there you go.
And make sure my boy starts shooting more threes.
Just have him shoot 12-footers to start. Let's just start with that. All right, Kathleen, Jakari, appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. All right.